Hi,
Hi there. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
I know it's great to see your face. I was looking forward to this. Thanks so much for taking the time.
I was going to say the same thing to you. And I was going to do that thing, in the background where you like fuzz it out. And I
Yeah,
go, no, you know what? I have so much weird shit behind me. It would be
it's
fun to just
great.
let it ride.
I love it with all the records and all. I've moved. This is a small like writing studio that I have upstairs. Usually I'm in the basement, but my guitar player's down there doing some recording, and also there's some like exercising going on, and so it sounds really funny. So I had to go. It sounds more sexual than it should be. It was funny. So I'm like I'm in this room today. But
It's beautiful.
yeah.
It's a lovely background.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I know there's storms coming in. It's so funny. As soon as I click the link for the Zoom, there's like a train going on in the background. I'm like, okay, please don't do that for the whole thing. It's gone now. But
It's funny that you said that. I have a train right outside my backyard. So the same thing happened. And I was like, please let that just be the 1 o'clock. Let that.
yeah, just
And I also have 3 dogs I have locked outside. So you might hear a little, I gave him one of those doggy downers, like those natural. I was like,
that's awesome.
Take a little nappy nap. Go sleepy sleep.
That's awesome.
Lzzy, no barky barks.
That's awesome. So, what kind of dogs do you have?
I have 3. I have a boxer that somehow got mounted by a Chihuahua. So we have, I know, no idea. We rescued them. So we have her, Lizzie, and then her 2 babies, Obi and Bailey. So
that's awesome.
Kind of a tiny one, a middle one that's got kind of a boxer body, but he's short, and a Chihuahua head. It's ridiculous. And then
that's horrible. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have a little bit of puppy fever. I grew up with animals and a dog and all sorts. I grew up on a small farm, so it was like a lot of weird things. But it's been so long since I've had a pet, and it's like I'm getting a little like I should like go rescue a puppy. Somebody that knows how to poop already, so I don't have to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do without that. And that was actually something I would ask you about, is some of those things, from home when you're on the road, especially like this coming year with touring resuming in a big way. You guys are just hitting the trail hardcore. I mean, you're going to be gone a while.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. It feels like there was nothing for so long, and now all of a sudden, literally the dam broke, and it's like, all right, everything all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're gearing up. We're going to start touring here in a couple weeks, and it's like the weeks go by, but there's something every single day, and it's like I'm always just like maybe one tiny step ahead of whatever's happening. And I'm like, I got to keep focused or I'm going to just like trip and fall and lose the whole thing. But it's exciting, it was a tough time over the past couple of years when everything halted and you're faced with this unknown future. And like, are we ever going to even get to that place again? So it feels good to be doing shows again and be in that happy spot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was thinking back when the Blitz came out, we had a few years there, and then you guys came along. It was like 2005, 2006.
Oh, yeah.
And you had the One and Done, the live EP, and you guys played one of our Blitz bashes. And I remember you guys just you were a baby band, and the word was, you got to see Halestorm. They're super great. So I remember we were on the air going, you guys got to get there to see Halestorm. We've heard great things. And now 2022, the Blitz is 30 years old, and you guys are headlining our kickoff concert in May. That's going to happen with Stone Temple Pilots, Blackstone Cherry at the same venue, but now it's called KEMBA Live. It was, I think, Promo West then. So
that is so crazy. Oh, that's so awesome. Well, it's funny. So I can't believe it's 30 years with the Blitz, because we just did the math, and apparently this is 2022, and in August will be 25 years since our first show as Halestorm. And I'm like, oh my God, it seems like we've lived a couple different lifetimes, but also already, seriously, like we're here. So I'm so proud to be able to be playing that show, man. I mean, God, it's so crazy to have, all of, everybody from the Blitz and all you guys just a part of our family for so long,
And that goes the same way with you guys. We were so excited when we heard, we're like, there is nobody better than our friends in Halestorm to kick off our concert series on May 18th. We're so excited. Now,
Oh, that's so
you guys have your new album you're going to drop on May 6th, Back from the Dead, which the title track, I mean, I was like, well, is this really the obvious of Back from the Dead with COVID and lockdown, or is there another story behind that? And talk a little bit about the record. And I understand there's a song that we have out now, The Steeple, that's been influenced by a fan. Tell me a little bit about that and that.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, this album is basically a roller coaster ride of really, as it, I can't speak for the guys, but I'm speaking for myself, with subject matter. For some reason, the guys trust me with words. I don't understand why. But I was really, I mean, this was during lockdown. Everything was written very much in real time and in the present. And what I rediscovered through writing this album, especially in that way and in that situation, was really the reason why I write, and the reason why I not only love doing it, but I need to, as a part of my process and my therapeutic really situation, the way that I deal with my mental health and what goes on in my head. So this album really is this kind of there's all these questions. We do touch on my mental health journey. There's some debauchery. I touch on depression and all of that, and also just missing that family and that communal situation. I guess the best way I can put it is that this band, I've been in this band since I was 13 years old. It is a part of me. It is so much more than just like, oh, I'm going to be a rock star or a career choice. I mean, the fact that I actually can call this a career is a perk. I'd still be doing it in my parents' basement, even if nobody cared. But when, after a couple, months of this, you're facing the unknown, and all of those things, this extension of me is kind of stolen from myself. And all of these things in this band, everything about it, all of the extensions that reach beyond it, those are the tools in my arsenal that I use, for my mental health and all of this. I cite this band on really helping me become the person that I have always wanted to be. Now, when you don't have any of those tools, and the only weapon in your arsenal is to write, because that's the only thing that you can control at the time, I really had to turn to that. I mean, I faced somewhat of a small identity crisis when everything happened, and you can't help but feel the weight of the world and what's happening. I look at myself in a different way. I got very reacquainted with my own dark clouds and depression, self-doubt. There were some panic attacks. And I haven't had those since I was a teenager. So having to deal with all of those things in your head, it really did help me to write through it. Now, that being said, by writing from that personal space, now I'm looking at this album and I realize that it's kind of living proof that none of us are alone in any of those thoughts, because now I'm looking at these songs and it almost became more anthemic and more universal because I was writing from a personal place, because there are millions of people that were going through the exact same thing. So it's a true depiction of that too. Now, as far as the Steeple goes, absolutely. This is absolutely inspired by the relationship that we have with our fans. Especially during lockdown, there was, at any given time, I could go into any of my socials. I was a little bit of a stalker, and I was watching everything all the time. And, you see all of these people that are going through those waves as well. And somebody would reach out and like, hey, I'm actually having a really hard day. How's everybody else doing? And then everybody would like pounce on that person, be like, all right, hey, DM me, hey, call me, hey, I'm going through it too. You're not alone. We got this. And all of these words of encouragement, and you realize just how important this community is, and how important, we're all united under this umbrella of music, but it really is. So there's a primal need for it. So especially with the Steeple, it was almost like I'm trying to recreate that church, and I'm trying to recreate that fellowship. And you almost had to kind of put yourself in that place and be, and it's so beautiful now because now we're back in touring, and I love that all of the moments that I was hoping were going to happen in that song, it was like it was meant to be all along, and it's happening with the live show. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
That is a wonderful description. And I think you just brought me to tears, because as you were describing the steeple and where it came from, the origin, and those discussions amongst your friends in social media, and everybody's supporting, and it just kind of rippling out. I just saw the video and I saw you and you going, these are my people. And it just gave me goosebumps. That is really
cool. I'm so glad. That's awesome.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna love the song even more than I already did. That's really great. Let's talk a little bit about the tour. When you guys were out, I don't want to bring up a bad subject, but thankfully with the bus catching on fire, you guys were in the hotel. I mean, that had to have been so freaking scary. And I'm so glad you guys are okay. Like, I know you've had buses in the past, you've kind of named them and been close to them. What you know, you've had the buses and Storm and Norman and Bouncing Betty and all that stuff. What bus was that? And did you do a burial for it, or?
Oh my gosh, that poor well, it's funny because the bus, actually they couldn't move it after the fire, so it actually remained right outside the hotel for like about a month after. Like, it only just recently got to, I'm like, oh God, those poor people. Yeah, that was a scary situation. The what ifs were real. You know, we all woke up to our tour manager pounding on all of our doors and making sure that we weren't in the bus. I had a small panicky moment because I had not seen my brother all day. We had a day off. I had not seen him all day. And usually it's either him or I. Well, you know, if sometimes we don't feel like staying in the hotel room because it's like a different bed and everything. I'm going to crawl in my bunk. And thankfully, neither one of us decided to sleep in the bus that night, because it literally, the fire started. There was something electrical in the walls. They discovered something because with some of these newer buses with all the technology, you know, that happens. Sometimes the wiring gets weird. But you know, apparently it literally erupted like around this. It's the same area that my little bro and I sleep in. And it's just, and it was weird because we had this conversation, you know, for 2 days after, about how, man, like the only reason that I spent the night in the hotel room is because my guitar player Joe was like, actually, it's a really nice hotel room, you should take advantage of that. I'm like, okay, I'll stay in the room. And then the only reason that RJ, my little brother, stayed in the room is because he wanted to get up early and go to the gym in the hotel room. So like, we were just so thankful that none of us were in it. And then, man, but I gotta tell you, those next two shows, we were like levitating because we would get emotional before the show. We're like, I'm just so glad everyone's okay. And you know, nobody made a weird decision to stay in. And you know, we lost some clothes and some stuff, but it was only stuff. And so we were just very much appreciative. And we played those next two shows like like it was going to be our last. It was hilarious. So
thankful. Yeah. You know, a lot of people were worried about your stilettos because, you know, that's what I said on the air. I was like, what about all our great shoes? Oh my God, I'm so glad they're okay. But
well, it's funny. I did lose 2 pairs of shoes on that bus. But thankfully there were most of my stage gear rides with the gear. We have like a wardrobe case thing now. So that's the good thing. We didn't lose everything, except for the, you know, a lot of everyday clothes. Like, you know, we had to go and like shop for underwear and stuff like that, you know, like small things like that. But it was, yeah, we're you know, we're very grateful that, you know, everybody's safe and everybody's cool. And also we got so emotional because we were just being blown up with text messages and like people that I haven't even heard of, you know, for years, everyone concerned. And it was like, I don't know. I remember turning to like my guitar player. I'm like, God, everybody just cares about us so much. Like, you know that inherently, you know that people care about you, but it was just like such a beautiful display of that too. So very, very thankful for everybody in this community. Thank you so much for all the kind words, you know.
For sure. I mean, you're our people, see?
Right? Oh, I see what you did there.
What I did?
Came right back around.
So let me ask you this. Do you have a new bus and have you renamed it?
We have not renamed it yet. And but yes, we do. We thankfully with the bus companies and everything, we're able to swap out certain things. I'm not quite sure which one we're going to be in next. So one of the things that happened with this huge, like I said, the dam just broke and everybody's going out on tour and everybody's releasing a record, is that the buses are kind of hard to find. So we can't necessarily, beggars cannot be choosers. So I'm actually not quite sure what kind of bus we're getting next, but hopefully, for me personally, hopefully it's an older bus and not necessarily a newer one, because now we're like, wiring in the walls, it's like it's a little tainted. One of the silver linings of the bus fire though, is that now we're like, okay, where are the fire extinguishers? We all made a pact. Nobody's staying in the bus on days off. Everybody goes in. So we have like a plan now. So
game plan. When you guys are out on tour, what snacks do you all have to have with you? Because I'm a snack person, and you'll laugh, but like I dig a veggie tray and some Skittles, which is really weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What snacks do you guys have to have with you on the road?
We're big foodies, so it's a lot of stuff. We usually ask for an assortment of cheese because we're obsessed with that. We've recently like rediscovered our love for blue cheese, so like the spicier the better, that kind of thing. Nice. We're a very much a savory band. I also love a good veggie tray and some Skittles. The weirdest thing happened to me. I hadn't had a craving for these in years, and this is going to sound gross or whatever if anybody's like not into junk food. But we were coming home from our UK run, and I don't know why, but I had this intense craving for spicy, crunchy Cheetos. And so I like got like 2 bags of them, and I like housed all of it. And I was so disgusted with myself, but also it was so like, I felt so naughty. I don't know, like my hands all yellow. It's like, this is so gross, but it's so good. So yeah.
The commercial, you're walking around the bus leaving fingerprints.
I'm like, oh no. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. All right. So let's talk a little bit about pranks on the road, because you guys are pranksters with each other. And I'm dying to know if there's any recent pranks. I mean, you've got a couple of years of no touring to make up for, so I'm sure it's gotten a little intense.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was one that was happening with my partner and I. So one of my, I'll start with like the lockdown prank, because that was hilarious. So again, everybody's locked in, nowhere to go. And a DJ friend of mine sent me an authentic Alice Cooper severed head. Right. So it's been like on that. Now I've had this for a couple of years, and it's been on like display in my living room. It just kind of freaks everybody out. And my partner decided it started. So put it on. I have like a coat rack in my bedroom that freaks me out anyway. Sometimes if you're like, half asleep, half awake, it kind of looks like a person. Ended up putting this Alice Cooper head on top of it. Totally scared the bejesus out of me. So then it became a game, like, where can I hide the head? So it was like in the refrigerator one day, then it was in like an underwear drawer the next day, and then like you just put it in the bathroom or in the shower, so there was that. So I was trying to punk out with that. Now, one of the funniest pranks that ever happened was this kind of series of events that we didn't even plan this. But so my little brother, being the jokester he is, we were being filmed by a camera crew. We were playing this show, and they were following us like to the stage and film the show, and some of like the backstage stuff before the show, warm up and all that. And my brother decides to empty out an entire handle of vodka, empty it out into some empty water bottles, and filled the vodka bottle with water. So that, I don't know why he was, what, you're trying to impress somebody. So he was like chugging the water-filled vodka bottle, to make it look like he's just, gonna go out on stage drunk or something. I don't know. He's a weirdo, as we all know. Anyway, being the loving big sister that I am, I took all of the water bottles that were filled with vodka, and I put them in RJ's bunk. Like, because he's kind of notorious. He's like me. We like to hydrate a lot. So he has like 5 water bottles in his bunk anyway. So I replaced all of his water bottles with the vodka filled bottles. And I told the guy, I told Joe and Josh about this. And so we're all like in the bunk hall, just like when is he going to take a sip? Like we were like up till like 2 in the, and so he finally did. And of course we all laughed about it. He's like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. So in order to get back at us, he took all of those vodka filled water bottles and put them in the water bottle case, like randomly, so that if we decided. So anyway, fast forward to the next morning, we're pulled over at the side of the road and our bus driver is pissed. Our bus driver's so angry because I guess he's like, I don't know what kind of alcoholics we have on this bus, but what, I don't know who's been hiding vodka in the water bottles. He made his morning coffee with the vodka bottles and had to pull over to the side of the road to make sure he wasn't drunk. And we were laughing so hard. So it was just kind of like a prank that turned into a prank and turned into a prank. And yeah, it was hilarious. We still like giggle at that, even though definitely could have gotten into a lot of trouble.
That's hilarious. Well, yeah, water bottles by the bed is the only way to go. But you know, whiskey and coffee is much better. I love it. I'm going to have to try. So talk to me a little bit about, as you guys are touring this year, you've always said you like to tour with your friends, and you've got not only this tour with the guys with STP and Blackstone Cherry, but you've just announced another leg with like Pretty Reckless and all that stuff, Lilith Cesar and all those things. Talk a little bit about how you kind of decide what friends you're going to choose to kind of tour with and all those things, and how much fun that is and kind of the joys of all of that.
Well, we are in a beautiful position. We're very lucky to be in a position where we're able to reach out and really handpick who we take out on tour. And not only is it important for me to be surrounded by friends on tour, because, you know, life is too short, you know, you might as well spend it with the people that you love. And if I'm going to be stuck, you know, on a tour bus and backstage with a bunch of people, you know, we better all like each other. You know, there's nothing worse than if you're out, you know, on tour with a band that doesn't like you, or you're not fond of them. It's like this other word, which hasn't happened to us that often, actually, you know, to be honest. But yeah, but it's not only that that's important, but also on our upcoming tour with Pretty Reckless, it's become important for me to help lift up my ladies, my fellow, you know, women in the business, and especially if they're starting out. So we have we're going out with a Pretty Reckless, who Miss Taylor Momsen and I had quite a few happy hour Zoom calls during lockdown. That was how we were entertaining ourselves. So I haven't seen her in so long. This will be us reuniting again. And then we're taking out Lzzy and who I just met for the first time on our Evanescence tour. And then we're taking out this brand new band called The Warning. They're three sisters out of Mexico City, bass, guitar, and drums, trio. And they rip. They're amazing. They got their start doing Metallica covers, and they play like Metallica, possibly better than Metallica plays Metallica these days. and it's so great and inspiring, and they're all under 21. And so we're going to be taking them out on one of their first runs around the country. And so I'm very excited to see that. And just to represent, I mean, there's so many women not only in rock right now, but as musicians, but also female tour managers and producers and lighting directors, and not to mention all of the beautiful women that I see as the majority in the audience in this hard rock genre, just proving over and over again that this genre is genderless, and we do it because it's a part of us, and this is the genre we love. So very excited about that. Very excited. And then not to leave out my brothers in the business too. This is our first time going out with Stone Temple Pilots. Obviously, there's some shows with Blackstone Cherry. There's also some shows with Mammoth, Wolfie Van Halen. So can't wait to see all of those boys again as well.
Have there been bands that you've really, really loved to tour with in the past? Who, like maybe 2 or 3 of your favorites that maybe you'd like to in the future get out on the road again with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, really, I mean, the band that took us out first, before we even had an album out, we weren't being played on the radio, was actually Seether, and they're some of the nicest boys. Dale is my hero. He's always just the happiest guy, and we haven't toured with them in so many years, and so I really like just to reunite with them as well. Who else? You know, who I'd love to go out with is Nothing More. I love those boys as well. Also the boys in Goodbye June are amazing. It's just the list kind of keeps going on and on. You know, I was so happy to be out with my dear sister Amy Lee on our last tour around the States. It was so great to reunite with her too, and of course we'll do more things in the future. You know, we caught the bug. We're like, all right, you're not getting rid of me. She's like, you're not getting rid of me either, so we're gonna do it again. But yeah, I mean, we're very lucky. This whole community is so beautiful. Oh, and don't forget about Corey Taylor. Jesus, that man is also my hero and such a nice dude. He sends me funny texts every now and then, and I'm just like, man, what's going on? He was just playing in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I guess there's a picture of us on the wall, and so he's like sending me pictures of that. I'm like, where are you? He's like, Reading, PA. I'm like, oh my God, my old stomping grounds. So yeah, can't wait to see all of my friends again.
Corey Taylor's hilarious. He did that tour, the stand-up, it was like a word tour, like where he just talked.
I know.
It's called. He is so funny and he is so real and he just puts it all out there. He'll tell you anything. He's a lot like you. I mean, he just doesn't, he doesn't have any secrets. You ask me, I'll talk to you about it. And the very last story he told was about shitting his suit in a Slipknot concert because he'd eaten some food and he was jumping around. And I'm looking at my crew and I go, did he just end the night telling us how he shit his pants? Because that's awesome.
And this is why he's my hero. No, I love that, man. He has no filter. And honestly, that's the best way to be. You know, it's like the more honest you are with other people, the more honest you can be about yourself. And to be completely honest, and Corey and I have had this conversation before too. It's like, I'm a terrible liar. You know, it's like, if I try, everybody knows. So it doesn't matter. I might as well put it all out there.
Oh, and additionally to that, he also threw up in the mask the same night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh,
yeah.
That sounds terrible.
I got no.
It's the worst. See, that's why I don't wear a mask. Note to self, don't do that.
Do you see yourself doing any collaborations coming up, or are there any things like in the pipeline that you are maybe talking about?
Yeah, there's a couple things that are going to be released. I was so lucky during the pandemic. I think I did 11 or 12 collaborations, something like that. I love doing it, and I love the fact that I get kind of called a lot to guest on other people's projects and do certain things. It's just so wonderful to be able to, not just like represent myself, but represent my genre. And it's a beautiful thing, because even if it's somebody from the country world or somebody from the techno world, is like they're always like, okay, I don't want you to cater to my audience. I want you to rock. I want you to be, who you are. And like, oh, that's so nice of you. It's like I get to represent, all the things that I am. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears peeled. There's going to be some stuff in the future.
I definitely will. I mean, and you're so multifaceted. I mean, you and RJ both. I mean, but you are able to sing and play, and the piano, when you get behind the piano, I tell people around me, I'm like, just shut up, don't talk to me. Like, I want to enjoy this. Don't try to talk to me right now. It's so incredible. Your live shows have so much energy. I do not know how you do it. The biggest question is, how do you maintain your vocals and your voice? What would you tell a future vocalist or a current vocalist, how you maintain keeping your healthy voice?
Well, in all honesty, it is, work. And I train myself quite often. I think the biggest thing as far as on the technical side, is something to start off really honing is your breath control. That's everything. That's the gas to the motor, and if you don't have proper breath control, everything is going to start failing. The engine will start failing. I'm
over here taking in breaths right now. I'm like,
yeah, I know. Oh God. And also it shouldn't hurt. It should feel like nothing. And for anybody that knows me, and obviously I make my most of most of my living yelling for, you know, nothing I do hurts. It should feel like nothing. It should feel effortless. I did learn something recently though that I've been using as a part of my warm up. There's something called singing straws that I use now during my training that actually really do help with the breath control, and also help to train you to not overblow, you know, because not just, you know, overwork it. Now you can do this with any get diameter cocktail straws. You can do that too, but I have some like metal straws that I use, and basically all you do is kind of sing through the straw. Now what happens is it gives you a little bit of back wind, so there's a little bit of like a resistance there. So sorry to get nerdy, but most times when you're, obviously most times, because nobody sings inward except for Tenacious D apparently, but as you're basically pushing always outward. So by having a little bit of that back, it helps kind of relax your vocals, and it helps them not necessarily work so hard to carry the weight. Anyway, you can probably Google all those things. But yeah, I'll always do a proper warm up. Now, for me personally, I don't do the same warm up every day. It's always, I wake up and I'm like, oh, la, okay, everything is kind of there. You know, you don't have to do so much. Therefore, it, you know, but also like if I wake up, okay, I'm a little tired, I'll have to kind of, you know, rattle some things out. So yeah, always warm up to some degree, always cool down to some degree. And the biggest piece of advice is that, you know, train, obviously know that you're doing the right things, but as soon as you walk out on that stage, don't think, just sing, just have fun. Don't stress out too much about anything going on, because you can literally, it's such a psychological situation. You can literally think your way out of being able to sing, you know. I've been there before, and stress is a bad thing. So just go up and have fun.
It almost like gets you into a panic attack mode where your breaths are just all over the room too, which is really bad. Like that.
Absolutely. It's real. It's a real thing. So, oh, hold on. Somebody's calling me.
Okay. Sorry. I'll ask you one last question, and then I'll let you go. We've been chatting for a while. I'm so grateful for your time. It's nice to catch up.
It's so good to catch up with you too.
Thank you. So are you a Sephora, Ulta Beauty, or a maybe a, I don't know, a drugstore makeup girl, or other?
You know what's funny? There is I would usually go to Ulta more so than Sephora. I don't know why. Sephora just seems too fancy for me. Every time I walk in there, I'm like, I don't know. So, but yeah, but I do raid the drugstore probably more often than not on the road. So
yeah, right on. That's the same with me. I'm more of kind of the drugstore. Ulta's good, but I walk in sometimes and I start to get sweaty palms, and I start panicking a little bit. So, well, we will see you for the Blitz 30th anniversary bash as you headline our kickoff event of the summer. I'm so excited, and we all are so grateful to have you headline. Stone Temple Pilots Blackstone Cherry at KEMBA Live, which used to be Promo West, where you played for us for the first time in 2005, 2006, and you're about to release the new album on May 6th. So Back from the Dead, so far so good. We can't wait to hear the rest of the record, and we will see you on May 18th. Thank you so much. Tell the guys thank you, and have a wonderful, safe touring until we see you again.
Oh yes, reunited, and it feels so good. Yeah. Thank you, sweetheart, so much. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.